Hey, everybody, it's Tanya, and I am here on our Thursday. This is when we normally go live. So I'm so sorry I missed you last week, but we had a situation that we needed to deal with. So, my question for you this evening, as we are joining live, and thank you so much for those of you who are watching live. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay in because I'll come back and check the comments afterwards over the next couple of days to make sure I'm answering any questions. But I am here with you live right now. So if you do have questions as we're talking, make sure you put those in the comments. And as a matter of fact, just say hello and let me know where you're from, because many of us are probably in our homes right now and have been there for a little while with the current situation that's going on. But here's the question that I'm going to ask for tonight. The question is, I'm going to ask this and then I'm going to answer it. Why should I go live in other spaces besides Facebook? If Facebook has everything, it has groups, it has live stream capabilities, it's got communities that I can build, it's got all these features. Why should I do anything other than spend my time on live stream in Facebook? So I want to try to answer that question for you. We're going to talk a little bit through that. I'm also checking to make sure that I see some questions and comments, and there's some hellos. Hey, Michelle, it's good to see you. And I see Jennifer. Hello from Alaska. Wow, wow, wow. Hopefully everything is well up there and it's not too cold. Down here, we're starting to change a little bit. There's my Marcia. Hi, it's good to see y'all. And I'm hailing from Dallas area in Texas, where we are experiencing everything that everybody else is experiencing right now. So I just hope that you all are well. We're going to focus tonight on diversifying where we put our live streams. And what I'll do is give us a couple of seconds to add a few more people. And while I do that, I'll put my short intro video on. All right. And there is Miss Pat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hopefully everybody can hear me well. I see a comment that I'm not sure of. I hope hope you can hear me and my audio well. So if you can't, make sure you leave me a quick note. But while you do that, I'm also going to go ahead and do my little quick intro video, and I'll be right back so we can talk about diversifying where you host your live streams. So that's the topic for today. All right, here we go. All right, again, welcome, 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 and thank you so much for joining me live. So I am actually broadcasting in a ton of different places right now. I am using StreamYard to do that, and thank you for clarifying that you can hear me so awesome. I am broadcasting in my Facebook group, which is Get Noticed with Video VIPs. I'm broadcasting in my Facebook business page. I'm broadcasting on YouTube, on Twitch, and I'm also on Twitter in Periscope. So there's a reason why I'm doing that, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But if you're asking or you're trying to think through for yourself, like your live stream strategy, you're in the right place, because that's what we talk about every week right here. We talk about creating systems that will help you to be more consistent with doing live streams, because in case you did not know this already, the more you do live streams, live video, on camera video, even if it's pre-recorded, but you're on camera and it's not just slides and leaving you out of the human equation. When you're doing that, it gives people a chance to really get to know, like, and trust you. It gives people an opportunity for them to engage with you on a different level than if you simply wrote a blog post with text, right? I even think that for me, it has been it's given me an opportunity to create more of an experience than just audio and podcasting. Although I love podcasts too and used to run a podcast, I'm finding that video gives me the ability to really engage on a different level. So if you can find your way to doing more live streams, but you are just struggling with the systems, then definitely join me each week for some strategy and some practical tips, because that's what we do. That's what we talk about. And you're more than welcome to join my community over at facebook.com/groups. video content strategy. That's where the Get Noticed with Video VIPs are. All right. So today's topic is about promoting your live stream on multiple places and platforms. And so I want to try to answer the question why by giving you 6 different reasons. We're going to keep it a little low tech, so I won't pop up banners and all that other stuff today because I want to kind of talk you through these things, these tips. But if you do have questions as we go, again, put those in the comments because I can see those. I can display them on screen and we can make sure that you get all the information that you need. Before I dive into that, I also, in addition to us talking about our live streams every week and practical strategies for doing lives, I've also started doing a social distancing series that I'm hosting not only here on my business page, but I'll also be hosting on my personal profile and Facebook to help us to really, and by us, I mean not just us as business owners, but you working with your family members and with others who feel disconnected. So towards the end of this live tonight, I'll go ahead and make sure that you have information on where to get access to the previous one we did last Sunday. And then this coming Sunday, we're going to talk about some apps that can help you, some online apps that can help you to get more calm because many of us find ourselves now in a situation where we're working from home and there's a lot of distractions and there's a lot of folks that usually aren't in that same space. So we're going to talk about that in our social distancing series, but I just didn't want to forget to mention that. So if I forget during the or at the end, please make sure to remind me so I can make sure I share how to contact and connect with that. All right. So why go live beyond Facebook? There are 6 different reasons why. The first one I think is it's probably something that you if you when I say it, you're going to say, "Yeah, that's true." But when you're in Facebook, when you're especially if you're active like on your personal profile, you probably feel like everybody's there. But the number one tip is that not everyone is on Facebook. There are a lot of people that potentially are in your audience and your target client pool that are not on Facebook. I happen to know this because I remember at a point where I had actually centralized everything around my Facebook page even though I was getting bare minimum reach, they weren't giving me visibility at all. And this was really before I started doing live streams consistently. But what I found is that those who I did invite to different types of events and things that I was doing on Facebook would say, you know what, I really just don't want to use my social login to get on there, or I'd rather connect somewhere else, especially my friends who were LinkedIn people, right? People enjoy the platform where they spend the most time. So, not everybody's on Facebook, but Facebook Live is definitely an easier to use tool than many of the tools I've seen for live streaming. Um, it should be considered, but it should be part of your overall strategy and your toolkit for when you're live streaming. Because while there are 1 billion people on Facebook in the world, there are 7 billion that are not on Facebook. So keep that in mind that if you look at your audience, you want to examine and evaluate where are my people? Are they all here? And this is especially for those of you who maybe, for instance, millennials, or you find yourself in a generation where the folks who you hang out with and who you're targeting do not spend time here. Because if I asked my kids and they both were like, Facebook, no, we don't spend time there. I've asked other people of a certain age and they say, no, we spend time on Instagram or we spend time on, Pinterest or wherever else they spend their time. So you want to diversify. Reason number one is because you need to be able to reach audiences that are not here too. Okay. Number two is it helps you when you diversify and you spread out and you do multicasting, it helps you to maximize your exposure. You get to be exposed to people that you never, ever, ever would have been exposed to had you not reached out on those other platforms for some of the same reasons that I just talked about. And I see, yeah, this is a good point, Michelle. They're there, but not watching is too much to distract. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the Facebook feed, right? So not everybody is paying attention to your live stream because they may be paying attention to something else. Whereas other platforms, such as YouTube, for instance, if you're doing YouTube live, there is no other necessarily distraction because there's not really a feed that people are going through to find your YouTube link. If they're there, they're there. And when they turn off, they turn off. So diversifying. Somebody, you also had a question, Michelle, about does StreamYard work on LinkedIn? Hi, LaFern. It's good to see you. The question was, does StreamYard work on LinkedIn? Yes, it does. If you have been approved, and not everyone, I did confirm this, I checked in on it. Not everyone has yet been approved for LinkedIn Live. You may be able to upload videos, but not everyone has yet been approved for LinkedIn Live. So if you've been approved and you have gone through their approval process and they've sent you a letter and confirmed that you can go live, then you will have the ability to be able to do that. And you can do so through StreamYard. So StreamYard does have LinkedIn as one of the options. If you're approved, it will connect and work for you. Okay, so the second reason, like I mentioned, is that it helps you to maximize your exposure if you can be in multiple places at once, not just on Facebook. Now, for some of you, and again, this is about examining your situation, looking at your business, thinking about your niche, what you do, where your people are. If you built up this huge following on your Facebook business page or in your group, then that's absolutely wonderful. And you can certainly restrict yourself to that group. I just would encourage you, if you're looking to maximize your exposure and to branch out and pull other people to you and to your business brand, then the more platforms you are, the bigger your potential stage is, the bigger your potential reach is. So much like a TV network that is syndicated in multiple cities, when you live stream to multiple platforms, then you have the ability to be able to reach people where they already are playing. So if you've got people that are playing on a totally different platform, on Twitter, for instance, they can see you because you're multicasting versus you simply telling them, hey, I'm on Facebook Live, come on over there to watch me. Okay. So here's a tip that I'll tell you, when I do multicast like I'm doing right now, there's a couple of different tools I use, which I'll get into in a little bit. But what I tend to do is to say, depending on the platform, so you know how I've taught you, for those of you who have been here before, to share and to let people know that you're going to go live. When you do that and you're sending out a social media post in advance, say an hour before, or a few hours before, or a few days before, what you'll want to do is to make sure that you're catering that post to the platform that it's on. So for instance, let me give you this very specific example. On my Twitter post, when I tell people I'm going to be live, I say, I'm going to be live at 5:30 p.m. Central on Thursday right here on Twitter. So just join me here, because the people that are seeing that post on Twitter are probably going to spend time on Twitter, and that's where they want to come watch me. I don't say, hey, come watch me over at this other link and expect them to jump. What we're trying to do is to make it super easy for people to be able to meet you wherever they are. Now, the same post is going to go on my Facebook pages and groups, and it's going to say, meet me here at this link. So it's a totally different link because it's specific to the platform where I'm posting or sharing, right? So think about that, and don't just post a broad, post that tells people where you're going to go and redirects them to someplace they're not going to be. Be intentional and purposeful about that. And what that does, again, is it reduces the need for you to drive your target audience to different destinations, which they may or may not go to. All right, so number 3, I said I was going to talk about tools because that gets me giddy. That's what I love to talk about. But there are third-party tools that make it easy to do. So why not? Using syndication tools like the ones that are built into StreamYard, which is what we're using right now, are super easy, and you don't have to worry about picking and choosing where you're going to spend your time. So there's 2 right now that I would recommend, and I'm checking to make sure I don't see any comments or questions. I do see some, so good. We'll come back to that. There are 2 that I like to use. One is, hey, Victoria. One is StreamYard, and I mentioned that. StreamYard allows you to multicast into different platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, um, YouTube. You can multicast in all those different directions and destinations at once, which is pretty much what I'm doing right now. But on the highest plan that they have, you can go up to 5 platforms. So there's 5, there's a limitation. So you really want to be thinking about, okay, which are the 5 that I want to make sure that I get connected to for your live. But there's a second option. It's called Restream Eo. And I'll make sure that I put links in the description or in the first comment for this video when we get done. Restream Eo is another option for you, and it gives you the ability to be able to multicast in a lot more places. You do not have the limitation of the 5 destinations. The thing that I would say is a little different if you're looking to determine which one works best for you. um, Restreamio will give you the ability to be able to broadcast in multiple connections or places, but then you're missing that ease of use when you're creating the comment display. So, like right now, as you've seen me kind of pop up a lot of different comments that are coming up. When you're in Restreamio, they have a chat function that allows you to centralize all the chats coming in from the different places, but it's a little bit more complex for you to set it up and definitely not as easy for you to display on screen. So you'll have to use another, like a third party service to allow you to do that. So I was using, for instance, before I started using StreamYard, I was using a combination of OBS, which is a free broadcasting software, along with the Restreamio. Okay. Now, Restreamio, I better say that. Restreamio is a system that you also can integrate and connect with your StreamYard. Okay. So if you're using StreamYard and you want to have the power of multicasting to all these other places through Restreamio, you can only select Restreamio as the platform that you're going on. So you can't in StreamYard say, I want to broadcast on Restreamio and I want, these other destinations. It restricts you from doing that. So the only choice you would have is Restreamio. And then there are some limitations again in terms of how the comments show up. So if I were to kind of give you my opinion on which of the two would be easiest and which works best in which situation, I would say if you're new to broadcasting, you're new to live streaming, and you want ease of use and convenience, the easiest thing for you to do is to just choose whatever your 5 destinations are going to be and do it through StreamYard. Just use their native app for restreaming. If you are comfortable with learning what you need to learn, spending the time to put um, some experiments through and to practice a little bit and to figure out what your flow is going to be, then Restreamio might be an option for you because, again, you can broadcast to more platforms. But you also want to take the time to think about your setup for your chat and how it's going to show up on screen and all of those different things. So it can be a little bit more complex and time consuming, but it may be more rewarding to use Restreamio if your idea is that you want even more platforms than just the 5 destinations, because 5 is the max with the top plan that you can get with StreamYard, and that's the one that I'm using. Okay, so that was number 3. Let me take a look real quick here. So this is from Pierre. It's very long, Pierre. So I'm going to try to read it instead of having it up on screen. Diversifying now is different than it was several years ago. Yes. So you have to be ready for some adjustment on how your message is given. So he's making a really good point. Instagram does not allow links in the comments for. Okay, so Instagram is not going to be a place you can go live with these restreaming tools that I'm sharing. But the point that he is making is it's valid, meaning that you want to think about when you are restreaming to all these places at once, you still need to think about the audience that is spending time in those places and what they want, what's relevant to them. Should your messaging be somewhat different depending on where you're broadcasting to? So I think that's an excellent point, and it's something to think about. For me, because of the topic that I speak on and because of the delivery approach that I use, it can fit wherever I decide. Those destinations I choose are a good fit for the audiences that are listening. But I will say, for instance, that with LinkedIn, when I'm creating social media posts and content, there is a different spin and a different type of personality and tone that I set for some of the communications that I share on LinkedIn than I would on Facebook. And then I would on Instagram or other platforms. So I think that's a very valid point. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. So number 4, and I'll recap these because I know we're going a little longer than I normally do with explanations, but I wanted to make sure you get all the information here. And you can always go back and watch the replay. I saw your note, Victoria. So come back and catch the replay. It's number 4 is, and this is number 4 as to reasons why you should think about diversifying beyond Facebook live streaming. Because that tends to be where that's my source. That's usually where I'm live streaming, is in my group and or in my business page, which is why I'm focused on that specific platform. And this is a really important point that I want to make. It's number 4. It is not your real estate. And this goes for really any of the social media platforms. You don't own Facebook. You don't get to control it. If they decide for some reason that they want to remove your video, then it gets removed. And if you don't have a backup plan, if you're not using a third-party software of some kind to have that backup for your video, then you can lose that content. And I'm saying this is super important because it's happened to me, and I know it's probably happened to some of you too, where you did the most on that video. Like, you were doing an interview and you were flowing and you thought it was great, and you went back to try to look for that video a couple days later and it was missing, and you don't get an explanation as to why. And I understand that Facebook has a whole lot of folks and a whole lot of content that they're dealing with. But there have been times where I've gone back and I've asked, what happened to my content? And I don't get an answer, and then it magically reappears. So it could have been that someone reported it as spam for some reason because they're just a hater, or maybe they saw something that you truly were sharing that was against or violating terms of use. I don't know. That's the problem. We don't know the reason, and we don't know the rationale or how to go back and get that content. So that is my 4th reason as to why you definitely want to diversify and make sure that you're using some type of backup method for your live streams, because you don't want to lose that content. And frankly, again, you don't own Facebook. So there's not a whole heck of a lot we can say when we want to try to go back and fight to get our content. So I encourage you to definitely have some type, even if that is your primary platform that you're streaming on, I would strongly encourage you to use beyond just the native way of being able to, and by native, I mean, if you just go into Facebook Live and you're just using their tool, their app, you can do that, but there's not an easy way necessarily to back up your video if it gets pulled instantly after you've recorded it. Whereas in StreamYard, when I'm using StreamYard, I can go back and download the recorded video right after I've done my live stream. If I'm doing that in Zoom, I can go back, find the recording from my live stream. If I'm doing it in OBS, there's a backup method that I've set up to where I can see the video right inside my own computer. So really think about that number 4. It's not your real estate. You don't own it. The other thing that I want to mention there too is that ultimately, I know that these platforms, including Facebook, want you to drive traffic to them, right? So they want you to keep people on their site to receive the content, but you need to be thinking in terms of a purposeful plan. It's all about intention and purpose and strategy. You need to be thinking about, how do I use my content that I created through this live stream to get people to my website, to my real estate, right? So having calls to action and making sure that you have a plan in place for repurposing the content, all of those are things that I teach and I talk about with my group and in my courses and programs. Those are things you want to be thinking about, is the game plan after the fact that you've done this great and brilliant live stream that you've done. So I'm checking and scanning again for some questions and comments. StreamYard does have a save feature. It sure does, which I love because immediately, Donna, after you have recorded your live stream, so once I get off of this tonight, I can go in and just download my video. And yes, you have an opportunity to be able to download your video from a Facebook live stream too, but you better do it really quick. And you better hope that they didn't pull it before you had a chance to go and remember to download it from there. So that's why I love the option of using third-party tools. Victoria, price points for Restream Eo, specifically when we need to stream to all. So those two different things. So Restream Eo is a totally separate service provider. They've changed their pricing so much, Victoria, that I think I'm going to refer you to their site. If you go to tanya.click/Restream.io, then you should be able to see their current pricing. And I don't know if my link anymore shares a special code for you to get that trial on a discounted rate, but you'll have to check and see. So I would go there before I speak to that because I've seen them change their pricing and their packages. If you want to stream to all 5 platforms that I mentioned through StreamYard, StreamYard allows you to stream to multiple platforms, and they have more than 5 that are destinations that are available. It's just that you have a maximum of 5 that you can broadcast to at one time. And they do integrate with Restream Eo. But if you do integrate or choose to broadcast on Restream Eo through StreamYard, you can't choose any other destination. And you can do that on their next level down plan. So you don't have to have the premium level plan that's, I think, $49 a month for StreamYard. You can do the one that is like $27 or $29 a month. You can do that one instead. Just use Restream Eo and benefit from the comments tool that they have in StreamYard. But those are our 2 separate apps. Okay, let me see what other questions before I go to. I just answered a question. Okay. You just have to remember to push record in Zoom. Yes, if you're using Zoom, that is correct. So in StreamYard, I don't have to remember that because it's recording right now. If you're in Zoom, you have to go in and say, oh, record. And don't forget to do that, as I've done many times. All right. And yes, Victoria, I love that point. Migrating your audience to your other spaces free of Facebook. Yes, you just want to give yourself options. That's all it's about. It's about making sure you have options and that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know the old phrase. That saying works. All right. So that was number 4. And again, I will go back and recap all of these. Number 5 is that Facebook changes so frequently. We all know this. So in the past couple of years, just guess, how many times has Facebook changed its algorithm? If any of you know, if you have a number that you want to guess, put that in the comments. I'm curious to see what you say. And I'll give you the answer in like now. In the past 2 years, Facebook's algorithm has changed at least 24 times. So that's an average of 1 update per month. That's a lot. So marketers and brands, we really don't know how to keep up with the algorithm because it could change tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I saw some posts today from people who were saying they got the new Facebook, the new look with the dark mode and all of that other stuff. I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard some people that have it now. So you really want to make sure that you don't build all of your live stream strategy on a platform that changes so frequently that every single time you could possibly have to change your live stream strategy again, your marketing strategy again, because hey, they decided to change and you didn't know anything about it. And now, your flow is not working anymore. So I'm not saying don't use Facebook Live because again, I still use it very frequently. I love using it, especially now that I'm starting to do more workflows that are going to involve my Facebook group, especially because of that. But make sure that you diversify because of all the reasons that I'm sharing with you. The last and final reason you want to diversify is because of support and quality. Okay. So a stream on Facebook is not optimized for large screen or high quality viewership. I believe that they stop at 720 pixels. And a lot of us now are going to 1080 and 4K. So, video quality is an important factor for a lot of viewers when it comes to live broadcasting. And you want to think about, okay, do I want the highest quality or do I want average? And if there's any issues, by the way, with your live stream and you're just using Facebook, the native app, just try troubleshooting by asking them. And I bet you there's nobody that you can really call instantly to say, hey, help me out because there's a problem here. Whereas, again, if you're using a third party streaming service or if you're streaming to other platforms, you can kind of test and see, hey, is this going wrong in every place, in every location? Or you can also tap into StreamYard support or whatever platform you're using. If you're using Zoom or somebody else, you can tap into their support if you have their paid plan and they'll help you. They'll walk you through your problems. But if you're just using Facebook alone to live stream, you probably will not get that support. So those are the 6 reasons. I'm going to recap real quick here for you. I'm also going to check something because all of a sudden we started having like a lot of noise here because I think it's storming. So hopefully you guys are okay where you are. And we're going to just try to stay safe up here too. Let's see. Let's recap. Let us recap. So, number one, not everybody is here on Facebook. And these are the 6 reasons why you need to diversify and not just go live on Facebook. Number one, not everybody's here. So, you got to think about, do you have potential audience members in other platforms? Number two is it can help you to maximize your exposure when you broadcast in multiple platforms. Think about, again, strategically, where should I spend my time? Where should I be live? Where I'm going to actively go and answer questions and engage. Number three is third-party tools make it so easy to do. Why not? So we mentioned StreamYard and Restream Eo, and there's other tools too that would allow you to have that capability. Number four is it's not your real estate. You don't own it, you can't control it, and you need to have a backup plan in place. Number five is Facebook algorithm could change again, and you might be changing something else with your live stream strategy because of that. We don't know. We can't guarantee that. And then number six is because of support and quality, primarily the customer support, because if you need the help to fix your situation as you're in it, who are you going to reach out to if you're not using another service or another platform to broadcast your stream? So really be thinking about those 3 things. You cannot go wrong if you decide to either use a multicast streaming platform to broadcast to other places, or even if you just use that third-party service to broadcast into Facebook. But ultimately, the message I want to get across is that you need to make sure you're thinking through outside of and beyond your strategy being just centralized in Facebook Live. I hope that makes sense. Let me check and see if there's any questions or commentary. Yes, I think I've caught most of them because we're right at the top of the hour. All right. If you do have questions and I missed them, then I will come back and find them in the replays. For every platform that I'm on, I'll make sure that I respond to your comments. So feel free to use some. Thank you so much. Reminds us if it's, oh, you wanted to know about this backdrop. Okay, so the backdrop I'm using is actually a backdrop that I'm using inside of StreamYard. So StreamYard has a capability for green screen just like Zoom does. Isn't that pretty cool? The only difference is, and we've talked about this for those of you who have watched some of my Zoom broadcasts, in Zoom, you can actually broadcast with a green screen feature, even if you don't have a green screen. In StreamYard, I actually have a true green screen, and that works best. So I do have one that's behind me. And I have someone that says, I love that too. Yeah, I love that feature. Right, it does make sense. Thank you so much. She lives her success. All righty, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I think I better get myself prepared because this storm is really howling right now. You guys be safe. Let me say this before I forget, because I did forget and I just remembered. The thing that I wanted to make sure to remind you about is that I'm doing some social distancing broadcasts. So I'm doing a series, and I really couldn't figure out another. I'm so glad, Pat, that you signed up. I can't. Couldn't find a really good evening or day that I could do it, but Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time, I'll be right back here on my Facebook page, along with other places that I broadcast, including my personal page, to talk about social distancing. And specifically on this coming Sunday, we're going to talk about 3 apps to help you to keep calm while you're working from home, because many of us are at home and it's possible that that could be for an extended time. So I want to give you 3 apps, one or two of which might work really well if you're doing live streams. Like, I think you're going to want to know these. So come on back. And then also, if you want to see the replay of the one that I did last Sunday, where I talked about how to work with your friends and your elderly family members, because that was my big concern, to help them not feel so isolated. So I taught them 3 apps that could help them stay connected at a distance. If you need that access, it's now on my YouTube at youtube.com/Tanya Smith. So you'll be able to find it there. And then someone's asking, do I have a StreamYard discount? I don't think I have a discount code, but you can go to tanya.click/StreamYard to be able to do a trial using my link. I'm not sure if it'll pop up a discount or not, so definitely take a look and see. All right. Thank you so much. All of you stay healthy and stay safe. And I hope that I get to talk with you again on next week. Take care of yourself.